Good evening, Nieuwe Anita. My name is Joshua Baumgarten from the Irrational Library. It's a pleasure to be back here. It's talking with Eddie. It's Nieuwe Anita exists about 20 years, and I think it's something in the last 20 years. I forget how many times I've had the privilege of gracing this podium, back there on the stage downstairs. And what I'm going to do for you is a bit of spoken word, a bit of poetry in English. Yeah, it's good. It's all right. So I hope you enjoy. And regardless of what I might have to say, please do stick around for my friend Massimiliano here, the belly old freak, all right? Promise me that? All right, thank you. All right. Today is a great day and can be seen in the smiles of those who have won at nothing. It is the mouse in the field finding lost corn and the hawk in the sky eyeing them both. The true spirit of man can be seen in the eyes of children playing street hockey with an empty tuna fish can. There is no rhyme or reason in this life of poetry. There is no rhyme or reason in this life of poetry. Only the unwritten line between accepting yourself or committing self-treason. So, be mindful, for the worms in the soil beneath the cobblestone are searching for all of your feet, and mediocre minds are happy to have you meet them at their own convenience. It is not so much a homeless problem, but a hopeless one. It is not so much a homeless problem, but a hopeless one. And it is just a week into the spring, and you are still acting like a miserable little bitch. Stop eating goose feathers. Stop eating goose livers. Stop eating geese altogether now. Try the swans. They are more beautiful, tangy, yet ultimately more tough. Today, rather than tomorrow, the lithium that you seek is always and forever just out of reach. Try not to always feed the need to eat that last piece of humble pie, and allow your acceptance to be more than just a beautiful disguise. Thank you.
Woo.
I played a band called the Irrational Library. This is our last album, Good Busy. Came out last fall. And what I'm reading are some of the poems that are going to be on our next album that we're going to be recording sometime in June. So let's see how it goes. He's wearing a burlap sack and he's got a broken face, and the sands of time keep spinning him in his place. And all the while the man on the corner is multiplied by 25, and the running joke is just how these zombified bassheads are still alive. All legalized and red-eyed, drug-induced crazy. The prescription drug punchline got millions strung out and hazy. Now, you ever get the feeling that this world of chaos and strangeness is just so much more than a pile of random facts? It ain't just mind-blowing how one person's orgy of the senses can leave another feeling so empty and flat. I guess this is just the way the world is built up and broken down to be. Told to read in between the lines, and so often reminded to question everything we see. In this age of bro science, alpha males, deep breathing, and ice baths full of frozen elk semen, and so-called revolutionary BLM Marxists thinking that they got the golden ticket on anti-Semitism. And all those millionaire comedians crying crocodile tears into bowls of trans jokes, while dodging shots fired by open carry cougar conservative soccer moms looking to cancel any liberal they can, now that prayer in school has also gone woke. Now, you ever get that feeling that this world of chaos and strangeness is so much more than a pile of random facts? And ain't it just mind-blowing how one person's orgy of the senses can leave another feeling so empty and flat? Well, I guess this is just the way that the world is built up and broken down to be. Told to read in between the lines, and so often reminded to question everything that we see. Thank you. Living here in the Netherlands, it seems sometimes like it's raining forever. Streetwise and shelter shook, it's the five-finger discount and the cameras that can never catch every last item so skillfully took. It's the criminal of the minimal stealing staples to keep the fat pressed into their veins. And it's always the question of what has been lost and what is to gain. While hooked on prescription, try to remember day one of addiction and what planted the seed that now feeds the need and keeps tempting that unyielding greed of dirty hands and infected wounds, of blood clots as the body rots, and open sores that are pussed up but never seem to bleed. Ghosts of what was once seem to linger the most. Pop open another can, another bottle, another glazed over toast. It's just another 364 days till the next Christmas Day roast. And in between minutes and weeks and all the hours dodging cops and raindrops with no reason to cower, every shelter helter-skelter as a drug-riddled brain continues to go slowly insane as all the sanity is siphoned out from pockmarked veins and all the social service civil society constructs are so overwhelmed that they are focused and forced to see people as a case number instead of a name. Council's overwhelmed and underpaid. There is no defense to the offense of suppliers and dealers who are always on their way to planting the seed and feeding that need and tempting that greed. And how we all know that none of this shit will ever stop till either the blood clots and the body drops, or we acknowledge the fact that some of the major causes of poverty and addiction so often begin at the top. Thank you. When you said that we should carry ourselves like the gods would, well, how this so strangely and spiritually forced me to stop and take a look around at all the believers of gods and the beauty and the chaos, the disease and the radiance, the death and the anguish, the rebirth and the brilliance brought upon us through all the love and the stress created out of this covered in fever religious and political mess. And I said, boy, you must be higher than a Chinese spy satellite. To which you replied, come on, man, just think of all the good as gods that we could do. Which created a pause once again in my contemplation, to which I finally concluded, yeah, well, just being quiet and doing a whole lot of nothing sometimes feels very godlike to me too. Thank you. They're bailing out the corporations and they're digging graves for the population. They're bailing out the CEOs and all those employees are buried 6 feet below. Funds to keep the markets in line, all those families stretching every nickel and every dime. The big bosses worried about their losses and all those doomsday churches sharpening up their crosses. You see, they're bailing out the CEOs and the workers got nowhere to go. Bankers sitting pretty with pillows under their feet, and millions more one paycheck away from living off the streets. They are bailing out the corporations and digging graves for the population. Corporate control solidifies the mold. Profits off of pain worth more now than the price of gold. You see, they're bailing out the corporations, digging graves for the population. They're bailing out the CEOs, like Run DMC once said, we all know how the story goes. Political lackey licking boot heel aspirations, caught under the poverty line asphyxiation, conspiracy theory motivation, kingpins gone crazy, got their greedy fingers itching for detonation. everything built to break, essential worker, single-use servant, social distance, disposable income, minimum wage, domestic rage, creature comfort, confront yourself, too close for comfort, to check yourself, take a breath before you go and wreck yourself. For they're bailing out the corporations, they're digging graves for the population, they're bailing out the CEOs, and by now we all know how the story goes. Thank you. Wat een aandacht. Mooi, dankjewel. Now, this is a relatively new one for myself, so I got to find my cadence in the rhyme and the reason. So stick with me. It's called If You Are. If you are a man or a woman, or someone who finds themselves somewhere else coloring outside the lines of the gender spectrum, or if you are someone who believes in saving their virginity for the sanctity of marriage and therefore only takes it up the rectum, if you are a right-wing or left-handed, bipolar or bi-curious, or as black as night, or as white as the guy who sang that douchey song, Blinded by the Light. If you work in a nail salon, or you're old enough to still remember the fall of Saigon, or if, as a kid, your frustrated mother took out her frustrations by beating up on you, and that is the reason your online shrink gives for your compulsion to jerk off into a woman's shoe. Or if you're a juiced up social justice warrior who's just out there making the scene, or someone continuously at war with themselves, that with every glance at their own reflection, all their insecurities start to scream. If you are overwhelmed with desire, feeling that the talent God gave you is the gift to inspire, and to share, to give and give and give is all that you desire, or if you are some Instagram hack whose life is off track, giving second-hand advice on how to control your body lice, knowing full well that you're in on the joke by promoting yourself as some fucking lifestyle coach. Or if you are a freak on a leash, a governor in a gimp suit, or a meat eater going to war against the vegans who champion the natural sugars in fruit. Or if you're a soul-sucking septuagenarian real estate squeezer, or some Gen X life-hacking schmuck who actually still listens to Weezer. Or an alpha male with a PhD in bro science preaching about the concepts of freedom on a podcast about liberal compliance. Or a trad wife with a right hand on the Bible and another grasping a knife, knowing in the back of your mind that there will only be one or two ways for her to escape from her traditional life. Are you gay or straight or just a single parent divorcee, tired of being catfished by yet another lunatic loser Tinder date? Or is it you? Or is it you? Or is it you? Maybe it is all of you. Yes, it is always you. Trust me, the world ain't actually looking at you. Or are you a banker, a wanker, a baker, or a cunt, a serial killer on the run, or a book-loving person who has actually read Will Self's My Idea of Fun? Do you love country music, or does hip-hop give you a hard-on, or does punk rock make you go off half-cocked, not knowing the words, but just drunk enough to shout along? Are you a Catholic, a Buddhist, a Hindu, or a Jew, happen to be one of the many, or defined as one of the so-called chosen few? Are you agnostic, or an atheist, or a Pastafarianist, or someone who gets overly angry at stand-up comedians for just taking the piss? Or are you someone oversensitive to light and to sound? Or maybe it's a magnetic pull of the moon that has you cowering on the ground? Or do you have issues with people wherever you go, thinking that your own life is worth filming for some bullshit reality show? Or are you the one who needs to show up at every party, the first one, or show up everywhere early, the first one ever at every party? Or are you the person who needs to make a grand entrance, bending everyone's ear with some elaborate excuse for always being tardy? Or are you just milquetoast and middle of the road, as normal as can be, neither a cancelled Prince Charming or a psychedelic toad, neither a beauty queen or a supermodel living the so-called dream, smart enough to know that the illusion of fame and riches can never live up to what it all may seem? Whatever it is that you may be, if you are a reader and hearing this, then you are just like me, a human being. One with responsibilities to themselves as well as to others. Like not becoming some reactionary asshole while still claiming that we must love one another like we're all sisters and brothers. So please, whomever you are or whatever it is that you feel the need to do, always refer back to the idea that this world does not actually rotate around you. And stop from getting so upset about a torn and twisted society that cannot and should not always bend to your personal motherfucking view. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna wrap it up with this could be fun. This could be fun or this could be a fucking disaster, alright? But we all look like pretty liberal-minded people ready for a good time. Except her, I'm not so sure. This one has got one word at the end of every line. And it really works well when you shout that word back at me. It's a tricky word. Trust me, it is. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to pretend like it's anything but. It's a tricky word. But if you shout it back at me, the universe opens, we all come together. All right? Can we dig it? Dig it. This poem is called Nazi Schmatzi. Pick it up as we go along. Constitution, castration, disease-riddled, desperate nation, Nazi. That's your word. Blue-eyed, pudding pie, live free, do or die.
Nazi.
Oh, come on. Are there any Germans here? All right. It's not bad. Unless, come on, put a little heart into it, Dutch people. White militia torch sitting on your front porch.
Nazi.
Racist cop, blood jelly, donut sauce.
Nazi.
Flipping burgers, deep fried, clam strip, curly fries, short order cook. Nazi. Bad girls bleeding out their eyes, middle light, misogynistic mongoloid. Nazi. Dead inside, Illuminati, peeping Tom, third-eyed Nazi. Come on, don't give up. Corporation bought the shop, forcing out mom and pop Nazi. Politician dead weight, geriatric, old school, good old boy, cesspool Nazi. Bleach blonde, master race, deep state, blackface Nazi. Television template, mental health, date rape Nazi. Sports fans wave the flag, screaming out the word fag Nazi.
Nazi.
There you go. Liberate, red state, death rate.
Nazi.
I get Nazi out of you. You're looking away, and I'm watching you. Gun control, shoot to kill. This is all God's will. Nazi. Millionaire madman, fuck the poor, chain store. Nazi. Redneck worldview, oxycontin, stiff glue. Nazi. Cyber troll, fat roaster living in your mother's hole. Nazi. You and I wonder why deny the truth and live the lie for democracy. Nazi. Yeah. Nazi schmatzis everywhere and all that blood and stink. Nazi schmatzis everywhere and all that blood and stink. Nazi schmatzis everywhere. And what's a Jew to think? Thank you. One more and then we get Mossy up here with Billy Old Freak. Appropriately put named last poem, Happy Ending. It was a beautiful dawn as the sun peered out from the horizon and the birds in the sky sang songs of freedom and the hunters laid in wait in the tall grass. It was a beautiful day as the children gathered free of Kevlar upon unguarded schoolyards and the socially maladjusted wannabe school shooters just stayed at home in their mother's basements to polish their AKs, watch pornography, eat bologna, and masturbate over all their ammunition. It was a beautiful afternoon as politicians played hide the salami with their interns, while at the same time pushing protocols into those without proper health care, cornering them into becoming criminals, and far, far away, the wheat fields in the Ukraine are burning a golden hue. It was a beautiful evening to gorge upon an all-you-can-eat buffet of disemboweled discourse and to wash it down with a confused cocktail of conservatives playing good cop to bewildered liberals who have seemed to have lost the fucking plot. It had been a beautiful day, one in which I stared directly into the sun and blinded my own sense of being. Sarcastic and hazy, trust me, I am not lazy, but sometimes I do lean upon the old cliche that this world has gone fucking crazy. And by staring into the sun, I can blind myself into seeing the silver linings dancing around all the clouds, raining down upon all our communal misery. Thanks so very much.